give you a description of the challenge and the categories. Then the different judging criteria based on what we judge a submission. Then also the flow that our candidates are following. Then I explain more on the platform and of course the jury member backend. It's always nice for the people who didn't see it yet how it works, but a nice refreshment also for the people who already used it and see the optimizations. And then of course I have a jury member timeline set up. So you need to know that Mitsubishi and the objectives is that Mitsubishi Chemical has a broad range of sustainable advanced materials, but also manufacturing and recycling facilities at a large scale. So to support the transition towards the industry towards the circular economy, and of course also significantly reduce its carbon footprint and the CO2 emissions. So our organization has this broad range of sustainable thermoplastic polymers with a low carbon footprint that can be used to produce finished part and products with a significant lower carbon footprint compared to the industry standards. And so besides offering those sustainable advanced materials, Mitsubishi Chemical actively also facilitates the production of prototyping of semi-finished parts and even finished parts for a series production. So to support the implementation of the circular economy, our organization has also invested in recycling facilities at an industrial scale. In fact, to enable our customers to send back their production waste or end-of-life products for recycling, and so we can close the loop. So to even further accelerate this implementation, with the challenge, we try to reach globally all entrepreneurs and innovators who have ideas and support us in 2 different categories. So the categories that we decided was the first one is recycling technology and the second one is parts or products. So if we describe the categories, if we talk about recycling technology, we explain to the candidates that this technology needs to improve mechanical or the chemical recycling process that supports the production of low carbon footprint materials with a high recycled content. So if we go now to the second category, products and parts, then we talk about a design, a develop, and manufacture product or an application with a low carbon footprint engineering plastic for a circular economy. And also the desire, if they have the desire to recycle the parts end of life. So this must be part of what the participants wanted to do. So if we think who should in each category participate, then in the first category, like recycling technology, we think more about companies that have a recycled technology or a service even, and that they are ready to demonstrate a positive impact on the recycle process of thermoplastic polymers. So if you think about mechanical recycling, it can be in collecting, automated sorting, it can be cleaning, grinding, and so on. Chemical recycling of thermoplastic polymers based on production, waste and scrap, or end-of-life products. So in the second category, products and parts, we think about innovative companies, of course, startups and scale-ups. That's our main goal, that sell or produce parts or products that are manufactured from thermoplastic polymers via CNC machining, injection molding, or 3D printing, and have, of course, the intention to reduce the carbon footprint of their products. And other companies that we think of is those who implement a circular business model and are looking for a partner to support them in the recycling of the thermoplastic polymer waste from production or even after collecting the products or the parts end of life. So these are the categories and the participants we are looking for. So of course, when submissions come in as a jury team, the core jury team who oversees every submission needs some criteria. What do they look based on what criteria? So we have 3 big judging criteria. The first criteria is feasibility. We have 2 parts in it, the technical feasibility and the commercial feasibility. So in the technical feasibility, we split it towards the 2 categories because these are very different categories. And in fact, if you want to see the details, the real details of those criteria, I would refer to go to our microsite, growthgarage.mcam.com, and we have a specific page dedicated to those judging criteria where everything is well explained. Second criteria is scalability. Of course, what we see is we look at the team, who is submitting, who is behind it, what people in the team, what functions do they have? Is it relevant? And then, of course, in the recycling technology, we check if they are able to run the technology on a lab, a pilot, or an industrial scale, and to what extent they scale and implement their service or technology in the business. Second category, we look at the production methodology. The last and very important criteria, of course, is sustainability. And also in this part, very important part that we see where these participants act on this criteria. Of course, based on the submissions, they have a different approach, and it's always interesting to see how they bring it in their idea, how they manage it through the complete idea, and how they work it out. So as I said, details of the criteria, you can see it in detail and read it every time if you need it for when you look into the finalists. So just some key dates, what we did during the challenge, you know, the challenge was launched on the 22nd of March. And the first month was, in fact, we call it early submission. That's this part here, the early submission part. So all the people who brought in their idea, submitted their idea before the 22nd of April, we call it early participants, and they have, of course, an advantage because that means that they already did the effort to submit. And we look into, the core team looks into their submission, and we take some time to give him feedback. There is a feedback sent by email, but for those that we think who are already a high level application, we propose also a feedback call that we did. In fact, this week, we had the feedback calls organized with the early submission participants. So after the month, the first month, we have still 1 month to go from the 22nd April until the closure of 22nd of May. That's next Sunday. We have the normal submissions that come in. And so you can see what's happening here is people submit. There is a quick scan by the MCAM core team, or in fact, the jury core team, not really all MCAM persons. Then we can give feedback in the backend system for the jury team. And what happens then, 30th of May, the expert team will select the finalists. That means that the core team went through all submissions. As it's more than what we expected today, that means that a lot of work for the core team to go through each submission and give the scoring and the comments for the participants. So once this is finished, the 1st of June, we will announce, of course, the finalists. The finalists will be presented on the Wevolver community because then we will start the Wevolver community vote. What happens is with the Wevolver team, we have this large community that is supporting us in the campaign to run the challenge. And the idea is also to ask the Wevolver community to give their input and what they think should be one of the best ideas. And they can vote, of course. Then at the same time, during the community vote, That's from the 1st of June until the 9th of June. We have you as a jury member who can, in fact, have an overview of all the finalists. You can go into each submission and also give your feedback and select the one you think should be a winner. I booked already the meeting on the 9th of June for you to present your winner selection. And we end the challenge officially with a challenge event that's foreseen on the 14th of June, where we in fact present 4 winners. We have, of course, the challenge winners, one in each category, one for the recycling technology and a second one for products and parts. We have then the community vote winner that also will be announced, and you need also to vote for a student award winner. So this is the submission, the flow, how it works. So just a little word how we promoted the challenge, because it's during 2 months that we need to ask people to submit their big ideas, and it doesn't work very easily if you don't do anything. So we worked with 2 teams. The first team is the Weaveover team. Weaveover is our fixed partner today. We already worked with them for the previous challenges to promote all our challenges. We have full promotion on the Weaveover website. We have the press release. We have email marketing by them supporting us. There are also the social channels where they announce the challenge and invite people to support us. And then for this time, for the second time, we had support by an other partner called the Mon Exchange, who supported us in creating, in fact, relevant content to bring this to our audience that we wanted to reach. So we created an Exciter document. We created a fully entry pack that people could download and check what was asked in detail, all the details around the challenge. We had also press release. We have a Keiki white paper created, recreated landing pages. So they approach different groups, they approach universities, they approach publishers. And this is how we brought, in fact, our challenge towards our audience. So until now, what we have, because we launched, as I already said, the 22nd of March, and today we have until now 50 unique submissions already, whereof 43 professionals submitting, 6 students and 6 others that didn't really define what they were. And in the submissions, in the 2 categories, we have recycling technology 27 applications and parts and products 25 applications. Of course, if you count it, it doesn't make 50, it's 52. That's why some of the participants had an application in the 2 categories. So it makes them, of course, a larger winner. These are the smart ones. So if I checked the details, we have in total already 23 countries that participated. And in the first month, we have in total 26 early birds. That means that the core team has already went through the 26 early bird participants, scored them, and give their comments. And we gave to 16 people feedback by mail, and to extra 10 people feedback by mail, but also invited them for a call. More details, I hand over to Tim.
Yeah, maybe to explain a bit. So typically, we are striving to have a minimum of, let's say, 30 submissions, because that is, let's say, the number where you at least can select 10 good finalists based on experience. In previous challenges, we were around 40 to 44. So having 50 submissions already, that's quite exciting. And in experience, we know that especially the last days, even more will come. So I think we can regard this as quite a bit of a success. Let's say besides the number of submissions, then also the question is, okay, what is the quality of the submissions and what kind of categories are there? In principle, from looking at it from high level, and these are, let's say, not all the submissions, but just to give you an impression of the nature, we actually see 5 different categories, let's say, of 5 different group of submissions. The first one is really around, let's say, parts that are built, let's say, from either recycled materials that either, let's say, have a low carbon footprint itself. You see an autonomous, let's say, delivery vehicle based, let's say, on low carbon footprint materials, a modular approach where they also, let's say, want to increase longevity. We have a company, Diamond Hard Surfaces. They are actually striving to reduce wear and friction for in use, so about economy savings. Then in a second category, very much, let's say, related to 3D printing. You see some companies there that are able to directly print based on, let's say, swarves and waste directly. So not from filament, not from granulate, but directly, let's say, based on waste. You see some companies that are building, let's say, parts out of that. You see a 3D printed wheel from Belgium, a startup company, or also, let's say, here from Finland, some casings for audio in a very modular approach. So that's the second, let's say, category that we see. Then we see a lot around recycling processes. Here you see 2 companies. They are actually typically taking fiber-based materials, often thermoset, through a mechanical recycling process to actually separate the resin from either glass or carbon fiber. And of course, to be reused again, let's say, in other materials. Then number 4 is around compatibilizers, I would say, and track and tracers. You often see that some material streams cannot be separated anymore. And there, let's say, there is a lot of developments in compatibilizers in still matching apolar and polar polymers together. And the ability afterwards, of course, not to downcycle, but to upcycle and also make parts of it. And you see some companies focusing on, let's say, creating a chemical track and tracers that at a moment that a material goes more often, let's say, through recycling steps, that you also can really track and trace in a more chemical way, let's say, how often that is done. And then the last category, and that was also very interesting to see that many initiatives link recycling products with 3D printing and also giving it, let's say, a bit of a social impact. So that really it's about engaging the society, and it also very much, let's say, is linked to our Kaiteki philosophy about the well-being of people, that you also engage, let's say, with the people, that they can see where their recycled material is going, and that you create a social impact. So that is, let's say, the categories that we see so far. So we just took a couple of them as an example to illustrate, let's say, also the variety of submissions that we in the end need to judge upon. Okay, that was just to give you an impression. Joke, back to you.
Thank you, Tim. So let's talk about the jury member tutorial and the on the micro side also. So we have the microsite Groot Garage accelerator microsite, and part of you will have access to the backend for jury members. So what's happened when you log in via your browser on grootgaragemchem.com/login, then you will see this first screen where you see the username and a password. Normally for people who already participated in a challenge as jury member, you received already your password. Some of you don't have yet your password. I will share it with you. So no worries, and you will also receive, of course, a tutorial for how you need to work with it. Very easy. I created it as easy as possible for you. But what I would like to ask you afterwards, once we finished the selection of the winner, that you give me feedback. I would mostly appreciate your feedback on the platform. If I could improve something to support you, to help you for future challenges, then I would have time to change it. And for the next challenge, it would be updated. So if you want to log in, this is your URL. You have your username and your password that normally you get from me. If you forget it, no problem. I have everything. Just ask me and I will share your login again with you. So you can always contact me for this. Once you logged in, you arrive on a submission page, the submission list you receive. I will show you in a moment how it works in real time. So once you logged in, you will see, in fact, the list of all the submissions that you see here. If you want to see a submission, you click on it. There is a pop-up that opens, and with the scroll bar, you scroll down, and you have an overview of the complete submission of the candidate. So if you scroll completely down the submission, you have a box where you can say, put the scoring. What we say about scoring, you can score from 1 to 10. What we decided, and adjust me, Tim, if you want, but we think if it's not really relevant for this challenge, then we score it 5 or less. And from 6 on, you can say, okay, this starts to be relevant, very relevant, and potential finalists get an 8. So that's an indication for you to know exactly how you can score in line with other jury members. So of course, as we have, for instance, now we have 50 submissions, you can't remember everything. There is a comment box. You put your comments in it, and you can store it, you can save it, and you can come back later and review it again and compare it to others. For instance, if you want to change your scoring, no problem. You can change it, you can change your comments, save it again, and it will be saved in the database. But something very important that we need to think about is the login system works based on your activity. If you are not active during 30 minutes, then you will be logged out. So it's possible that you are still on the page, but you are already logged out without knowing. Even if you open a challenge, it's possible that the scoring will not work and the comments will not work. You will also see that if you put a comment without the scoring, you can't save it. So you need to put a score, and you need to put comments to save it in total. Otherwise, you will receive an error message, and it means that one of the boxes is not filled in. So this is as easy as possible. I will show you when we finished. So what is now the timeline for the jury team? So as I already explained, 22nd of March we launched. We have the early submission finished, the 22nd of April. Closure on next Sunday, midnight, and then we start. So when do you have access as a jury team to the finalist list is on the 1st of June. So the 1st of June, you will have access. And the winner selection, I already sent out a meeting request for everybody for the 9th of June, where we, in fact, will present, each jury member will present his top 3 of what he thinks is the choice for the different categories, but also for the winner for the student. So you will see indication in the submission if it's a student or if it's a professional or an other type of organization. So that means that you have almost 9 days to check the finalists and to give your input. During the presentation of the winner that we want to select with the complete group, I will give you an overview afterwards with the top 3 of every jury member. What's then easy to see if we are aligned on the choice. And of course, you will also be invited in the winner announcement event. During the winner announcement event, just a small detail here, we only invite the finalists. We don't go to the big audience. It's only the finalists that are invited. So I hope this was a little bit clear for you all. I will now show you.
Joke, just sorry, I have a quick question for the winner announcement event on 9th of on the 14th of June. I was actually asked by a colleague if, you know, colleagues from Mitsubishi Chemical can join that, or will it really be only in a very small group of people?
Normally it's a very small group of people, but if you say, hey, I have some people who will join, who want to join, no problem, they're welcome. Just need to know, just need to inform me that I can add them to the event list. Yes.
Because I think it could actually also be not just for a few people from our company, but it could be really interesting within the company.
Yes, of course, of course. Then they see, normally the event is, it's from the past that it is the Weaveover team who organizes the event, as we always worked very closely with them to promote the challenge. And of course, because the community also voted, they will announce the community vote winner. So it's always in participation with them that we organize this, but I don't see any problem. I don't know, Tim, if you see any problems. I don't think so. But we didn't want to have the big audience joining or make a big fuss around it, because it's more on the finalist of the channel. The challenge.
No, the more people that join, let's say, in celebrating solutions for the circular economy, I think that's always appreciated. So no, I think we can take it offline, but for sure we can open it up to a large audience. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that would be nice, I think. Yeah.
So here I will short demonstration, growthgarage.mcam.com login. I will send you also the login file, of course. I put my username and my password. I click on login and I arrive on the submission page. Of course, this will take some time to upload all the submissions because it's directly linked to a database. So give it some time that the system can upload everything. And here you have an overview of all the submissions. So what you also can do is you can select here. You have first name, last name, role, score, comment, image and questions. So here you see first name, last name, what is the role? I already give him a scoring and I put my comments here. If I want to see detail of a submission, I maybe will take one without a scoring, like this one. You click on it and it opens in a pop-up. So you can, on the side, you can scroll down and see all the details. So here we have team name, email address, country, city, his LinkedIn. My company is, you see immediately, it's a startup. They have media company size, 20 members. And then we ask some questions. So based on those questions, we judge also if this organization and the idea behind it is linked to what we are looking for. So so the first question is, please indicate the category of your submission. Is it category 1 or 2? Here we see that's parts and products. If it's category 1, recycling technology, describe how your technology improves the recycling process of thermoplastic polymers. So here it's not relevant, but for category 2, products and parts, describe how your product design and company benefits from utilizing sustainable advanced materials with low carbon footprint due to a high recycled content. and or explain how your circular business model would benefit from either using these materials or by closing the loop. Please indicate the desired choice of potential materials, so the thermoplastic polymers. So they can describe it here. This challenge is for originals ideas. They need to confirm it also. And then we ask, of course, how did you hear about the challenge? Always interesting to know how they come, how they get to know it, how they know it. Then they can upload files. You will see all the files and the details. This is already the team they propose, and you can say, you put your scoring and your comments here. So scoring, you do it like this. I gave them a 7 and they look very nice. And I save my comment. Changes are saved. I close it. And here you see my comments coming up, the scoring and the comments. So what's interesting for you in the end, if you have done all your scoring, then you can say, okay, my scoring, my high scoring is 8, and I see all my 8s, my 7s. And so you can do your selection also. That's easier to do if you have this overview. You can also select by alphabetical order, last name, first name, or you can do it also by the first name. Like for me, what's easier to use it first name and to have my list of participants. So this is how you work on the jury member backend. This is how it works. This is what I ask from you. No, you need to know that I have now, of course, I have the privilege of seeing everything. So what do I see? I see all your comments and I see all your scores, because I will prepare for the final winners meeting an overview of what your idea and what your selection was based on the scorings, of course. So I hope this was interesting for you to follow. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Would be happy to answer. And as I said, for you, Henning, I need to give you a password because you don't have it yet. But as it's confidential, I will share it separately.
Don't share it now. Yeah, please send it to me. Exactly. I have a question though. Yeah, thank you. Is there going to be a limited group of finalists we're judging? So is that kind of pre-selected and already trimmed down? Yes. Or could this be a group of, I don't know, 50, 60, 100 different candidates?
So what's happening is we have the core team today. That's Lisa, Andy, and Tim. And they go through every submission. And that means the 50 until now, they go through it one by one. They select those that... Yeah.
You're welcome. It's no, we let's say we weed out the bad ones, so you get, let's say, a smaller selection. Because sometimes we see that either it's poor quality or it's not really, let's say, on topic. So we will take out those. So the most, let's say, valuable ones, at least, let's say, in our perspective, you will be able to see. So that also will save you some time. Yeah.
Yeah, I must say the judging criteria are really followed up for those that you will see as a finalist. So it's I will not say the easy part, because it's still a lot to go through and to define, because you compare not always the same projects, and that's not really easy. But from the past, I can say that if we saw the results of the choices, they were really aligned. There were no big. I think Mark, who was already in the meeting of the previous challenge, I think it was not very complicated. Maybe you can share some experience here.
Yeah, when you're looking into all the submissions, it's you think, oh, this is an undoable job, right? So you get all these enthusiastic stories and imagery and visual eye candy, and you think, oh, they're great, and then you go back to the judging criteria, and then you start thinking, okay, what is the essence of this challenge, and what is it about? And then you you get an order that is really consistent with what others are doing, because then it makes sense to score some higher than others, and in the discussion that you have, you filter out some assumptions or some perspectives, and then that balances, at least in the previous one, that balanced out in a nice way. And it takes time. It's not something you do in like 20 minutes. You need to assign some time to digest the information that is presented, because otherwise you're flying on assumptions. But once you do, I found it a very valuable exercise, and it was nice to contribute to. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would also like to add, so we've already looked at 26 submissions, right? And not all of them were high quality, but it was really fun to see all of them, because it's so many great ideas, and what people come up with is really surprising and can be very valuable for our business. So it's not that you're just sitting in front of your screen and thinking, oh my God, I have to go through this list, but it's really, it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
So just a last point maybe that I would like to share with you. I will share my screen again to go to the judging criteria. If you go to our microsite, under the challenges, you have the tab judging criteria. If you click on it, you arrive on the judging criteria page, and you have all the details that we presented also in this meeting to go through. You can read it to be sure that what we are looking for in from a participant. So thank you very much. This is what we wanted to give to you today. The next time that we see each other, it's to select the winner. But of course, I will send you some information before by mail before you start working, of course, on all the finalists. I will give you all the instructions needed. And of course, if you want me to support you in anything, whatever question you have, please reach out. Are there still any questions? Is everything clear? Can I help you already?
Very clear, Joke.
Okay.
Thank
you very much.
question.
Yes, Lisa?
Well, so for this, the challenge will close on the 22nd of May, but the core jury team, we can already start judging the new submissions that have come in, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that was
Absolutely.
just the question.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You have always access.
Gone through all 50. I've gone through all 50.
Oh, Tim, we don't hear you anymore. I think you're frozen.
The thunderstorm, maybe.
Yeah, it's a thunder.
We're back.
Tim, are you there?
Can you still hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I switched off my camera. Might indeed be the weather. Yeah, so I've gone through the 50 already. I must say it will be an inspiring journey to go through all of them, especially since the early bird, a lot of high quality ones were added. So yeah, enjoy, Lisa. It will be quite a bit of work, but it will be interesting to present the finalists to all of you, and what have been very interesting was always the discussions during that meeting, because everybody is looking from their own expertise. That's also why we have this large variety, let's say, of jury members, not only within Mitsubishi, but also, let's say, from the external industry. Everybody has their own expertise and their own view on these kind of submissions, and it also makes it very valuable to do this with the entire team. So thanks again for being here, but also, let's say, for spending your time with us in the upcoming meetings.
So to be clear, for you as a jury member, only available, the finalists are only available from the 1st of June. That means that if you even today go in the system, you will not see anybody because we didn't select the finalists yet. Just from the 1st of June, then I would like to ask you to start to review all the finalists.
Understood.
Okay, I will give you back 9 minutes of your time, even if we booked 1 hour. giving back something is always very nice. I hope you have a nice day, and good luck for
Thank you.
the selection of the finalists.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
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 Okay. Cheers. Bye.